Hello again. Now, truck drivers are urged to exercise caution on our roads in the wake of recent fatal accidents in KwaZulu-Natal. Well, for more on what is being done to ensure safety on the roads in the trucking industry, I'm joined by Gavin Kelly, the CEO of the Road Freight Association. Gavin, good afternoon. Welcome to Today on eNCA. Thank you very much for your time. What is the association doing to ensure that truck drivers respect the rules of the road?
Well, good afternoon, Dan, and good afternoon to all your viewers this afternoon. Definitely not pleasant circumstances under which we sit and chat today. We've had a number of very bad accidents, and I'm sure everyone's seen what's been trending on social media. Well, the first thing is, do realize that the Road Freight Association isn't the Department of Transport, which means that not all transport companies or operators, as they are called in the Act, are required to be registered with the Road Freight Association. Its members of the Road Freight Association are required to abide by a core code, and in that core code, various things are stipulated, and amongst them is around road safety, how fleets are operated on the road, and what our members are required to put in place to ensure that they operate safe fleets, but more importantly, that they put in place techniques and systems to identify where there could be possible risks and then to address them, hopefully before they happen, or to rectify whatever could happen, hopefully not something like we've seen in the last couple of days.
Yeah, if the law allows other people not to be part of your association in terms of the trucking industry, I wonder which organization they will belong to. Who's then responsible to make sure on those parts that they adhere to road safety rules? And is there danger that some of them are not properly trained?
Well, Dan, in answer to the second part of your question, any business or any fleet operator, any operator of a vehicle on the roads in South Africa is responsible for the manner in which that vehicle is driven on the public road. So in short, if you're driving your personal private vehicle down the road, you're responsible for how you drive and the condition of that vehicle. If you have a company and there are vehicles registered to your company, and irrespective of what type of company, if you have a fleet, as is determined in the Act, then you, as the owner of those vehicles in that fleet, are responsible for the way in which those vehicles are driven and maintained, etc., on a public road. So the buck stops there. Of course, the challenge is, how do we ensure that those fleets actually look after those vehicles, hold their drivers accountable, have systems in place to ensure these sorts of things don't happen? And if they're not doing that, what happens to them? And this really is the problem, is where there are fleets who decide, or owners who decide, or individuals who decide that they don't want to adhere by whatever is required, nothing seems to happen to them. And I think you've been hearing far more stronger calls from various quarters of government to start having a far tougher attitude towards those who decide not to play by the rules.
Yeah, so the responsibility lies with the owners, but there must be some accountability for the driver. For example, in the accident in Upongolo with the involved that truck that we saw the video going viral on social media, head-on collision with the bakkie. We are told that after the accident, the driver actually fled the scene and was arrested a day later.
Of course, Dan, I'm not saying that the driver is not culpable. I'm not saying that because he or she is driving a vehicle that's owned by somebody else in a fleet, that they are now suddenly immune to all of this. Not at all. There are obviously dual accountabilities, responsibilities. So the driver, at the end of the day, is accountable for what happens whilst driving. He or she cannot be absolved because I'm now employed. And yes, you can see by the action of the driver obviously knew that he was in trouble and thus fled. So there's this dual piece here. Remember, at the end of the day, as a fleet operator, it is your responsibility to ensure that the person who's driving your vehicle, and I'm going to paraphrase it, please, who's driving your vehicle, can drive that vehicle, is a responsible person, understands the conditions in which he or she will be driving this vehicle, and drives the vehicle in such a manner. So in the area we've seen this accident, it is a narrow road. It is a very windy road in normal parlance. It has huge undulation. The gradients are a lot. So you would expect the driver to be driving far slower, even slower than the 80 kilometers an hour. So make no mistake, there are two areas of responsibility, both the owner and the driver.
Gavin Kelly, thank you very much for your time on today on eNCA. He's, of course, the CEO of the Road Freight Association.